supplies. Whoops. So I'm going to be using a dish, a cookie sheet. Cookie sheet can also work if it's shiny. However, mine is not. As well as craft foam, some scissors, dry erase markers. They do have to be dry erase, and some liquid dish soap. Optional, which will be helpful, is a toothpick and a straw. Doesn't matter what kind of a straw, as long as you can blow through it. So before we begin with the entire cool demonstration, let's first talk about why we're going to be doing these projects. So there's something called surface tension. Do you know what surface tension is, Grace? You don't know surface tension? That is completely okay. So whenever you have, say that this right here is a table, just like a flat table, and you're looking at it from the side. Say that you drop a water or a little water droplet onto the table. You're going to notice that if you drop or have a little droplet of water on the table, that it's curved on the edges, and it almost looks like a half circle. Now, why do you think that is?
Because it's a drop.
But you see, water isn't just water. It's made up of something smaller called molecules. You'll probably see something sciencey looking on TV, like they'll have these weird little lines and circles. But that's what water's made out of, these little molecules. If you have enough of them close together, then they build up because they're so tiny, you can't even see them in a microscope. But once you have a bunch together, they build up and you can actually see water. Now, surface tension, on the other hand, when we looked at that little water droplet, here, let me draw it again. Surface tension is kind of where the outside edge is. It's all of these molecules tightly packed together, and that's why you see a little circle, because if they weren't all together, then you just have water everywhere on the table, and it wouldn't really make any sense. But what we're going to be learning with surface tension, however, is that the edge of the water, so all the molecules on the surface of water are connected, and you're going to notice that's what forms the outline or the shape of water and how we can define it. And that's how we can fit it into containers like measuring cups, for instance. And also with water molecules, you'll notice some of them might be floating in the bottom, but we can't physically see them. What we do know is that there's a whole chain connected. And I'm going to be proving that to you today. Whoops! I almost dropped something. So I'm going to start off with a ceramic dish. Again, I'm going to be using dry erase markers still. So how about we go ahead and draw little fishies. So I'm drawing something simple. We might even include a stick figure. What do you want to name him, Grace?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
You don't know? How about we name him Bob? Looks like a Bob to me. And say that we draw all these little fishies. Now what's really cool.
I think I know what you're doing because I think I saw this on YouTube.
You think so? What am I going to do?
I think you're going to pour water on it and then it's going to pop out.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour some on and you're going to see them float. And look at that. Little guy shaking. So why do you think this is happening then?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, let me bring up the surface tension again. Or actually, you know what? Beforehand, let's take a drop of water or dish soap. Oh, as you can tell, everything's falling apart. I better hurry. So let's take a drop. Notice how everything's separated. Now let's refer back to that surface tension I was talking about. We're gonna carefully put the plate away and make sure that there's no water. Now again, if we look at it from the side, so it's not gonna look like a stick figure, it's just gonna look like a little blob and then water around it, right? If we look at it from the side. But the surface tension that I was talking about, remember how I said there was a chain, almost like an unbreakable bond? Here, let me turn off that light. Well, because we added the marker, say that the marker is now this, the water is now separated. But because we also added dish soap, let's make green the dish soap. So I added a drop. You saw it. Didn't you see the sky move over here? What's gonna happen is that you already have the floating water molecules, but the dish soap breaks the bond. And what happens is that there's more dish soap molecules. Let's say that they're all a different color or a different spectrum. And because they're already in one place, but they want to explore, they're just like a liquid, just like water. So they want to move around and spread out. And eventually it will also push away the stick figure, and that's why it moves. And I will show this again with a different project. So now we're gonna bring up the cookie sheet because it's just a nice little tray. And I'm gonna go ahead and move this around. Now with the craft foam, if you want, you can go ahead and color it. I'm gonna go with a little red bow. Or which color do you want, Grace? Do you want purple or red?
Purple.
Purple? Okay. So before I begin cutting, because we were gonna be cutting out a little boat, we're gonna be cutting out something called a pentagon. Do you know what a pentagon is?
I think.
You think? Is it a shape, you think? What does it look like?
I forgot.
You forgot? Well, pentagon has 5 sides. So let's start off with the bottom.
Now I remember.
Now you remember?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now when you make your little boat, we're also going to draw a little upside down triangle. Make sure there's some space in between it. And that's going to be the boat that you're going to cut out. You can make this any size, but I personally think the smaller you make it, the more fun the project will be.
So we had to draw like a boat like that.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the little boat. And then cut out this triangle, but instead of a little points, we're going to add a little bit more space. Now I'm also going to be cutting out an extra square just to show you of what's going to happen. So I cut out this extra square. And let's go ahead and pour in the water. Oop. So I'm pouring in the water in the cookie sheet. Cookie sheets are really nice to use because it has a little lid on the edge. That way you won't make a mess. Ooh, does not look like I have enough water, but it's okay. We can work with it. So with a normal plane of water, I'm gonna drop this in. Nothing fun happens. Look at that, a nice square on the thing. But take our boat. Again, a toothpick will be nice. And again, if I leave that square over there, the most you can do is take a straw and blow it. Nothing fun. But then, if you take the boat and you take more of that dish soap that I was talking about, remember how I said the dish soap wants to spread and so it'll move anything in its path? Well, we're gonna be doing the same. This is gonna be a little tricky, but for anyone watching in the future, We're going to be putting soap on the edges of here and here. You just want a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead off screen, pour a little bit of dish soap onto my toothpick. Get a nice little coating. You make sure that you do not touch the water with it yet. And I am putting a generous amount of soap on the ends. You don't want to go all over the boat, and you'll see why soon. Now again, let's drop this in the water. Nothing fun happens. But once we add the soap, make sure the soap is side down, and then drop the boat. You'll notice it starts to move. Now again, you might want to add a little bit more water, but see how it's moving on its own compared to the normal square? Now, say that I want to do this again with the same amount of water. I'm going to add a little bit of dish soap on the end, just like with the boat. But nothing happens. Why do you think that, Grace?
Because it wants to spread.
Mm-hmm. Because we already broke the chain. Whoa. We already broke the chain, as said before. Because the soap has already spread, there has nowhere else to spread, and we can't break the chain again. So if you want to do this experiment over and over, you're going to have to rinse it out and make sure that all the soap is out before you can do it again with the water. And these are fun little things you can do with surface tension. Do you have any questions, Grace?
No.
No? Alrighty. Well, that's it for today then. I hope you learned a little bit about surface tension, and next Wednesday will be Aaliyah. See you. Bye.